Welcome to the Two Act Podcast. I'm gothjon, and with always, I have Adi here, and we are going to cover the Belko experiment, 2017, directed by Greg McLean and written by James Gunn. In Bogota, Colombia, a ton of mostly Americans work at this international company named Belko. They are locked inside a building, and they are told by a mysterious voice to kill each other. Well, Adi, what are your first impressions of the Belko experiment?
I thought this was supposed to be like a horror movie. Like you told me it was like, oh, I like this horror movie.
Action horror movie.
This movie was not scary at all.
No.
It's I think it's like more of a blood fest than it is a horror movie.
No, they call it a horror movie on Wikipedia, so that's the only reason why I brought that up.
Okay. Because I was like, John, your standards of horror are better than this.
Yeah, no.
This ain't the horror I know you're into.
Right, some crazy barbarian.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think like it's an interesting one. So I'll just say I knew about this movie while they were trying to make it because I remember this was right off James Gunn when he made the Guardians movie and he blew up. And I think he was trying to like, I don't know what, if it was a passion project or he was just like busy and couldn't do it himself. But I saw that he was actively working on like crowdfunding and he was trying to really put the word out there for this film. And so I knew about it back then, and I always meant to check it out, but I just never ended up watching it. But looking at it, I think he produced it, wrote it, but he didn't direct it.
Right.
And after watching it, I really wonder why, because I think the movie feels like
so he had a divorce, and he didn't want to go into the movie trying to direct it while dealing with the divorce.
Oh, is that
he was getting really distracted. Yeah, at least that's the story. I guess James Gunn got into a messy divorce during the time when they were trying to shoot this film.
Okay, I didn't know that. I did not know that. I assume he
just got too busy with the superhero movies.
I mean, like the Guardian movies were quite successful, so I'm assuming he had his hands full.
They're not bad movies. For superhero slop, they're good movies.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we should talk about James Gunn a bit before we dive into the movie. Like, I'm kind of I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I'd say I do like his work. I think he's got like he knows his stuff when he gets it right. Like he knows how to make an ensemble movie. He knows how to get the best out of a group of actors. And there's something about how I think he really excels when he works with unlikable characters. So he gets these offbeat characters that you end up falling in love with and he makes you fall in love with them. I mean, he's a big animal lover. So, I mean, you look at the Guardians movies and you said like, you like them. And I think like Guardians, if you look at the comics, no one fucking knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy are because they're like D tier list heroes in the Marvel canon. So the fact that, he brought those characters in and like Rocket Raccoon, making him kind of a larger than life character and his affinity for animals and all these weird relationships.
Every one of those Guardians movies, I think I cried.
They're very, so he does this thing where his movies have a lot of heart, but I'm particularly drawn to, he has this wicked sense of humor that plays really well. And of course, with Marvel, you're kind of under a leash, but if you watch some of his other stuff, like
Super.
Yeah, like Super or any of the other stuff he's made, like he can go, he can deliver some really funny shit, R-rated and mature material to work with, which I think is where he excels the most. And that's why I think the first season of Peacemaker, I think what he did with that was particularly good. Can't say the same about the second season as much, but I think he knows his shit. Like if he gets the control to do it, I think he knows how to execute. And it's no surprise now that he's obviously the head of DC and their new vision for superheroes and all that stuff. But yeah, no, I like James Gunn. I think some of the stuff off lately, I feel like he's a bit too. I feel like he's eating his cake a bit too much. He's really like proactive online. He's always like really engaging with fans and like the Superman movie, for example, right? That was a big thing. I liked the movie. I thought it was one of the better superhero movies to come out of late. And you can see like he's really passionate about it. But I feel like he does tend to sometimes kind of overdo the message a bit and try to be a bit too self-aware with it. Like I think he came out gave a statement about the Peacemaker season 2 ending saying, "Oh yeah, I mean, we don't know if there'll be a season 3. There's no plans for a season 3." I mean, come on, dude. We know these characters are going to return, you know?
Right.
Like there's no way they're not going to return. Like you're the head of DC and you're calling the shots. And you look at the Superman movie, there's a lot of controversy about like the whole message of the film. I think there's a section in the film that was about like a different country, which kind of a country at war, which kind of reflected real life events with the whole situation happening in Palestine and everything. Not to get too political, but I thought it was interesting, like how that drove up a lot of controversy, and then he had to come out and be like, no, it's allegorical, it has nothing to do with it. So I think he's an interesting personality as a storyteller. I think he really enjoys the spotlight of being able to like come out and like make bold choices with his films. So when I saw that he did this, I had high expectations actually. I wouldn't say I had high expectations for the movie, but I had high
Now,
expectations for his impact on the movie.
just imagine what it would have been if he directed it too. That would have been a completely different movie.
That's coming out of it. I think that's the biggest. Like I was left scratching my head, wondering. It's obviously written by this guy. He's produced it. He's put a lot of in it, but like I'm just wondering why he just didn't end up directing it, because it just feels a mishmash. It doesn't feel very coherent. It's almost like, designing something and then asking someone else to like take over when your essence is pretty much everywhere.
Well, this same thing happened with Justice League. That's why Joss Whedon came in. The director had some personal shit they needed to take care of in the middle of wanting to make it made. And then there's a completely different project that gets made because of that. And you get a completely different vision. You get a completely different everything when somebody else is in charge.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate because the film really suffers because of this.
Right.
And I think that you could just tell like the direction they went with. I don't know how much of it was like they're too deep into the film's production where obviously they can't afford to like back out or give more time and be like, oh, he can come back later and direct it. But I think
Gunn
it wouldn't be
was
practical.
he was later interviewed and he said, I just wanted to be around my friends and family, and I don't want to go shoot this thing that was about people who loved and cared about each other being forced to kill each other. It just didn't seem the way I wanted to spend the next few months of my life. So I backed out. That's what he
Right.
said.
Well, that makes a lot of sense now in retrospect. But I don't know, man. Like watching this movie, I just thought it kind of reminds you of like all the other stuff we've already like watched. I feel like I was watching an inferior version of Battle Royale, which is a far more superior movie. Not only because of what it did in terms of the precedent it set for culture for that genre of Battle Royale in pop culture, but also like thematically, it's literally it feels like kind of a death game survival, last man standing wins concept, which is so popular as it is.
Mm.
I don't think it does anything new
Okay.
with the concept. I feel like it's got some really interesting potential with its ideas. There's a lot of mystery about the workplace and the company Belko,
Mhm.
and it's also an interesting choice for them to set it in Colombia in Bogota.
Mm.
So yeah, some interesting choices, but I was just watching it and looking at it and I was thinking, well, it kind of feels undercooked for me. But I don't know what your thoughts were.
Oh, I like this film. I've seen it a couple times. I remember liking it a lot the first time I watched it. I like a lot of like the practical effects. The ultra violence was like huge reason why I liked it. They're not afraid to like pull punches, and the older this film gets, the less it's going to age just from the use of the non-digital like blood sprays and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you gotta. I will say that I did appreciate the practical effects or the special effects in this movie.
Yeah.
But the thing with the violence is the story. You know, violence just for the sake of violence doesn't really do much for me. I
Okay.
think I think the story kind of just takes a back seat and it just turns into a bloodfest. And while that happens, obviously there's some bold decisions, and I do like the fact that they obviously spoilers, but they spare no they don't
You could spoil
spare
the
any.
Belko experience.
I was just saying for anyone who cares, who gives a shit. You know, they don't spare characters. They really
No.
go with it. I mean, I'm looking at this movie and I'm like, this is like James Gunn hiring his best buddies. You know, you got like some. It's not a bad cast, dude. Like you look at the
Hmm.
cast, and these there's some
Familiar
there's some
faces.
familiar faces. Yeah,
Yep.
I've seen some of these
Yep.
actors work in a lot of movies. They're working actors in Hollywood.
You got the
Um,
angry guy from Scrubs, John C. McGinley. He's such an
yeah,
asshole in the movie, and he's creepy. And I think he played the part perfectly. And then you got
he did
Michael Roker, the guy I remember from The Walking
Guardians,
Dead. Yeah, Guardians as well. And then yeah, he plays Bud, the head of maintenance.
and
Unfortunately, gets yeah,
his buddy's David Dust Malkin, who's
Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad plays
yeah,
Lonnie, who's his
yeah.
underling. And then, why does James Gunn's brother in like all of his films? At least the two I remember.
It's kind of I'm trying to think of like, you know, there's directors who like hiring actors they love working with.
Right.
But this with James Gunn, I don't know what he does. He does this with almost everything he has his hands on. He gets his, you know, and he gets his famous like buddies in it. Like, yeah, his brother's always got a role. Michael Rooker's almost always he was in the new Peacemaker season as well. He played a very funny antagonist. He was an eagle hunter, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah, well,
It was
great.
really funny because in midway he has a beef with the eagle, which was funny. But so he does this thing. He brings in all these actors, and I'm sure you can see that there's a lot of
Mhm.
love behind it. It's not like I don't think he's being nepotistic or anything. I think he
No,
just
I don't think so.
genuinely has such like he's maintained those relationships that are so close to him because of the career he's had and what the trajectory you go through that he loves working with. It's kind of like Adam Sandler. You know, Adam Sandler likes making movies just so that he can hang out with his buddies
So you can
sometimes.
go on vacation with them.
Yeah, yeah, and if you can, like, why not, right? I mean, it's a privilege end of the day. So I think it's funny, but like most of these characters, they get killed off pretty early on. So you're like, oh yeah, they probably, of course, they didn't have like the budget to have all A-listers in it. So they probably pulled in some favors here and there just to get some familiar faces to go through. But I think we should talk about like the premise of the movie. So
Mhm.
I think the movie really starts with all these employees trudging through this corporate building in the middle of nowhere in Bogota, Colombia,
Mhm.
and they're all as they're arriving at their workplace. There's a sudden military personnel, like Colombian army guards everywhere at the checkpoint. Set up a checkpoint at the entrance and heavily like vetting every
Yeah, like it's like
worker,
immigration inspection.
something like that. Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
kind of odd, and you're looking at all these like regular workers who come in daily, and they're like, "Well, what's going on? Like, why is there like the sudden military presence enforcing so much like power at the door?" And I think there's one scene where like the COO, who's actually ends up becoming an antagonist in the movie. I think his name is Barry.
Something like that, yeah. Names really aren't that important in this film because you think about the character long enough and they die.
His name's Barry Norris. He's the CEO. He's played by Tony Goldwyn. And I think there's a scene where he's like, "Are you kidding me? Do you know who I am?" And they don't give a shit. They're just like,
Right.
"Show us your ID. Open the trunk. Blah blah blah." And I was looking at it and I was thinking, well, you're the CEO of this company and you have no idea why there's sudden military presence at your own workplace?
Right.
That kind of like felt odd and out of
Mm,
place to me. But it kind of, I don't know, you kind of like expect, you just go with it at that point.
right.
Like, and then you see all these workers, obviously, it's like a bunch
And
of
they're
different.
mostly American. And there's a couple of like Brits and whatnot, but they're all like not from this area is the important part. So they're
Yeah, yeah.
kind of like stuck here.
Yeah, it's mostly, I think the purpose of the company is to facilitate hiring of Americans in Colombia or something like that,
Okay.
I believe. So again, it's a bit vague. They don't really get into the details of what's really happening at the company, but they set it up as like an offshore company that's kind of
Hmm.
operating in Colombia. And yeah, you got these a bunch of characters and bunch of different actors playing various characters. But the scene that really amused me the most, I think there's a scene where I just found it like really ridiculous. First of it, I actually felt like I wasn't even like this was not believable to me. I think
Okay.
it actually felt like I was watching kind of a science fiction movie. It didn't feel like these is getting like oriented into the program or the workplace. And I think the HR manager's like, "Yeah, did you have your microchip installed?" And they're like, "Yeah, this is like for your own safety because of the kidnappings that happen in Colombia, and this is a way for us to track you and make sure you're safe." And I'm just thinking, like, who in their right mind's ever going to accept something like that? Like, have a microchip pierced into your
Just in
skull?
case you get kidnapped, they can find you.
Yeah,
They're
but
gonna find your body is what they're gonna
That's
find.
that's just that itself is super suspicious
Right,
and probably illegal. I don't think any company can do that. But again,
right,
let's keep that aside. It is a movie after all.
right.
But the biggest joke about this is not the fact that that's the ruse they have to make people who work there have this microchip. The biggest joke of it all for me was the fact that this microchip is like a bomb that explodes and kills people depending on whoever the organization wants to kill off. And
Right.
I was like, "Oh, what am I watching? The Suicide Squad?"
Well, you
It's
can
like,
definitely see why he easily made that after they
yeah,
made that
yeah.
shitty version and then they
I was
brought
just
back
watching
Margot
this. I
Robbie.
was just watching this. I was just watching this midway, and I was like, "Wait a second, why am I watching this? Like, I should just watch the
Suicide
new
Squad.
Suicide Squad movie. That's a
It's a
lot more
better
fun."
film. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a far more superior, funnier,
Right.
story-driven film than this.
Mhm.
But it was funny that popped into my head, no
Okay.
pun intended.
I don't blame
That
you.
that instantly popped into my head, and I was like, did James Gunn like envision himself making a Suicide Squad movie down the line when he decided to come up with this? Because it got me thinking, you know.
Are you
But
familiar with Stanford Prison Experiment?
Stanford, no. I think
Okay.
the name rings a bell, but I'm not.
Okay.
I can't.
So the name should ring a bell because it was a controversial, like, psychological experiment performed in the 70s by Stanford University. It was a 2 week simulation of a prison environment that exclaimed the effects of situational variables on participants and reactions, behaviors. Basically, they set them in prison, and then they set some of the participants as guards and some of them as prisoners, and then they were like trying to make them more agitated to see how they'd react. And I think that's where the Belko experiment, that's where that name comes from. And they stopped the experiment early because the guards were abusing the prisoners too far. Like, I think like somebody almost died, and they're like, okay, we gotta shut this off.
Mm. Oh, that's interesting. Kind of reminds me of Bridgewater, the mentally insane asylum in Massachusetts, where one of the earliest documentary founders, a documentary filmmaker, I think his name is Frederick Wiseman, had access to like capturing the way they treat like the criminally insane, and it was so shocking that the American government had to ban the film because it kind of exposed them. So, but
Okay.
it was totally an experiment because it's kind of a that's the term "fly on the wall." That's where it came out
Ah,
of. Because what
interesting.
he was doing was he was basically just in the background with a camera following everywhere and just capturing whatever he could see. And that was how this. That's where the movement of direct cinema popped up in the
Okay.
'70s, because it was totally raw. Because you had your sound kit, you had your camera, and you just went in like guerrilla filmmaking. You just went in and you captured. So again, not to go on a history lesson here, but I just wanted to
Interesting.
give you context on that. I think that's interesting that it's, and I will say like the thing about this is right, the strongest thing this film has going for it, I think, is that it is a psychological experiment. End of the day,
Mm,
because there's no real there's no real story in terms of like the end game or like what the whole purpose.
hmm.
There's a lot of mystery and setup, but there's not enough to tell you
There's
why
like
they're
not
doing it.
not enough payoff.
Yeah, there's not enough payoff. It just,
Okay.
yeah, it feels like you're literally part of an experiment the whole
Experiment is, will you sit through this whole film?
time.
Yeah,
Well,
I
luckily, I will say that it was a lean runtime, so
yeah,
I did
I
appreciate.
think it's got great pacing. This is not something I would be distracted watching, like, at all. Like, I think it's got a lot going on. The music also helps that, like, create some of the scenes. Like, also a lot of the shots I liked. It was very artistic.
Yeah, I liked the camera work for more than the action. I liked it more for the setup shots and the way they shot in the locations. But I will say that I didn't like any character in
Yeah.
this. Like I just didn't find any character
Come on, you didn't like
that
Sean
interesting.
Gunn being a stoner and making everybody dump all the water because they turning the freaking frogs gay.
I think the most annoying part about that character is the fact that he like his dialogue is just him saying "man" all the
Yeah, he
time.
sucks.
It
You
was
didn't find
so
him funny at all.
badly. No, it was grating.
Yeah,
It was so like I don't know. I think it was really poorly written. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like improvisation or if it's script.
right,
Like it just doesn't. There's a lot of stuff like I didn't.
right.
find that appealing when it came to the characters. And I know there's like a different dynamic. It's not just, they've got like a bunch of different characters here with their own power play. And part of the whole experiment is to see how quick, how easy it is for people to lose their values when it comes to survival. Like people will do anything, you know, that there's no second thought about. Well, there's some who do care, and they think it's obviously wrong to do
Yeah.
something like this.
If
You
I
have
was
to,
put in this situation, I'd probably be one of the first people to die because I'm not doing that.
yeah, no, no. I
It's a
mean,
it's like a morality
it,
imperative that
that's the whole point, right? Because like
yeah.
once they're locked in, like plausibility wise, the way they get locked in is a different story. I don't want to get too into it because then I'll just start nitpicking. But like, let's just say they got trapped for whatever reason, they
Yep.
can't get out, and they're told that a certain number of people need to die every 2 hours or something, or
Yep.
else they'll just
Something
kill
like
off
that.
like they'll just execute like 60 of them, and I think all of them, how ironic, all of them have this microchip in their skull of all places, and they can explode them and kill anyone at any time, and that's what they do. They kill off a bunch, and people
To
like, oh
show
shit,
that
like
they're serious.
yeah, yeah, and
Because you have to
I'm
kill two people at the beginning, and then they kill like six.
they do, and I must say the main character, the main protagonist
Yep.
of the movie, what's his name? I think his name is. Let me bring it up. I think his name is
Like
Mike, Mitch,
Mitch.
Mike.
Yeah.
I think is Mike. I think his name's Mike. He's played by John Gallagher Jr. I just didn't like this guy. I didn't like this character. I thought he was. I just think he had too much of a hero complex going on, and I just couldn't care about
Yeah.
this character. I
I
felt like
kind of like Tony Goldwyn as Barry Norris a lot more
yeah, yeah, I do too. I do too.
because he's unhinged and he's trying to break into like the gun vault to get all the guns. And then everyone's like, why the hell would I give you the keys to the gun vault? Like the guard is like, I'm not giving you the keys to the gun vault. He's like, you work for me. And he's like, oh, I'm not doing that. And then they take a blowtorch to the damn gun vault.
Yeah, they do, and he's an interesting guy. He's an interesting character. He's the CEO. At first, he's obviously like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Blah blah blah.
Right.
I
It's
think,
a
I
joke.
think, I think,
Calm down.
I think it's a bit. I think it's a bit like I don't know. It's a bit unrealistic that he really doesn't have any clue what's going on, considering the position he held
Right.
in that company. But I think that the fact that he has a past history as a special forces
Soldier.
officer or something,
Yeah.
soldier, adds an interesting layer to it because I think that makes it kind of makes his decision making and his choice to violence not reasonable, but I would say you can understand why he'd resort to it,
Right.
because
Because
end
he's
of the
already
day,
used to using a gun.
he he knows that when you're in that kind of line of work, I mean,
It's a
there
war
is
zone.
no choice. Like you have
Right. There is no
to
morality. Everybody's got to die.
exactly. So I think that was again an interesting character, probably a bit underwritten for my taste. I think a lot of the characters, some characters are built up and then they're just killed, which is funny. I found that to be really funny. And then there's
Broker is just like, God damn it. You're a good actor. Why'd you die so early?
yeah, no, no. I was surprised. I was like, why would they kill off like these two characters who played
Yeah, and then
by
his buddy dies in like the most stupidest way.
yeah,
Some like barb some
it's really like kind of slapstick.
yeah.
Really, it's accidental slapstick comedy at times. But here's where I wanna talk about the film in terms of what I don't understand why it went wrong for me. Is like it's got budget, right? It's got a budget because there's no way they could afford to film in Colombia. I'm sure they got tax credits and all that.
Right.
If they have the set, they have the location, they have the special effects, the blood, the
Budget
violence, the
of
guns.
5 million.
Budget of 5 million, right? Now, you compare this movie, right? You look at the stuff it does, it just becomes like the story takes a complete backseat once everyone tries to kill each other. It's all about
Mm.
shock value and it just becomes a slasher fest. But you compare this film to other movies that have the same elements, but they do a lot more with the themes. Now, when I look at the Belko experiment, right, I think there is a potential here for a good story, something psychological that explores horror and explores you know, how humans are in such conditions. And then you compare it to like other movies. Let's take one of your favorite movies that we reviewed, Saw, for example. Right? Look look how impressively that original Saw movie. And I'm not a big slasher guy. You know that. I'm
Yep,
not that
I know that.
crazy into, but I'm looking at that first Saw movie and what it achieves in one single room
Right.
with the story it has, the characters it has, albeit it's working with limitations, right? It's working with, they don't have the actors, they don't have the budget, they don't like, there is obviously, you can nitpick and say like, yeah, that looks cheap, but I can overlook that because the story and the way it's written and the themes it's
Mhm.
exploring is so interesting. Like
Mhm.
it blew my mind when the again, sorry, spoilers for the original Saw movie if anyone gives a shit,
Really,
but
really fair spoilers. It's okay. It's almost 20 years old.
but it blew my mind when the villain was lying there in that room the whole time. Like
Yep.
that's incredible writing. That's like the stuff. And look, that doesn't require you to have a crazy budget. That doesn't require
No.
you to fucking have like an insane like premise. Like it's so believable. It's so shocking because it really hits the right notes. And I can overlook the flaws it has because those aren't really flaws. Limitations are actually your strong suits in
Right.
certain
Because
situations.
you'll
And I
be
think,
put in a box
yeah,
and
and I'm
you'll
looking at,
prevail over it.
yeah, and I'm looking at this film and I'm looking at, look, they obviously have good actors.
Mm.
I kind of feel bad for them. I just feel like the material they had to work with isn't quite there. And a lot of what the movie lacks for me misses on the direction end, and that doesn't translate from the writing. So
Mhm.
there's something about that aspect that doesn't quite translate. Again, you did tell me that James Gunn had to back off due to
Yep.
personal reasons. That I'm
Mhm.
assuming is the main reason why. And I'm pretty sure if James Gunn actually made the film, it would be distinctively different.
Right.
I
It for sure
wonder
would.
how he, yeah, I wonder how he
We
feels
would
about it.
we would probably have sequels to this film if James Gunn directed it.
Well, that was the hope, I believe, because
Right.
like it does sort of try
And
to
then he'd
set
be
itself up as like a
yeah,
film
that
that can
fucking
have a
ending.
sequel. We'll get to that later. But like I want to say like concept wise, right?
Mm.
There's something about these corporate organizations that has always like interested me. And I'm thinking instantly watching this and I'm thinking it just reminds me of Severance. But Severance
Okay.
just gets it right. Severance is obviously it's a much different show. It's not a slasher horror movie. It's a lot more mind bending and slow, but it's a lot more
Mm.
mysterious and sinister because it really builds up that organization where these employees work at and they don't know what the fuck is going on, but they do know is something is definitely wrong. And the mystery is all about uncovering what's going on. And that's interesting, because end of the day, these guys are regular coworkers. They're not, they're not GI Joes. They're not fucking special forces. They're just regular Joes who are working there, and they're just trying to figure out what's going on because they can see the disparity of the work they do and what's actually happening behind the scenes. So, that's the stuff I feel like this misses out on that it should have built more. It should have built more on the Belko side of things and all of that. But instead, what it does is it just turns into an experiment where, like, okay, just kill each other, right? Just get into this. It's like a slippery slope. Once the first death occurs, it's just a landslide of like murders and gore everywhere. Until that ending, which I thought it was a lot more ridiculous than, like, if I was watching it midway and I was thinking, well, I wish they'd put in a bit more story with the deaths or built it up a bit more. And then I'm
Right.
looking at that ending and I'm like, where's this coming from? But let's, before we get into the ending, is there like, what do you want to say about the middle of the film, or well, what convinced me about what you liked about the movie besides just the gore or the effects?
Uh, you're trying to pull something out of the movie that's not there, though. Yeah.
Like, is there
Yeah.
anything,
No.
the mystery or the story or the
Well,
characters?
it is a little intriguing, but like you said, it didn't get fleshed out. But I didn't really expect it to get fleshed out in the short runtime. Like I was saying, like I like the pacing. Like I like it's breakneck, but it's not so breakneck that it's broke neck. It's not like one of those shitty Star Wars movies where, oh, we got to get to the next planet and nobody cares about whatever's happening on the screen. And like I like a lot of that. Like it keeps my attention. It doesn't. I'm not necessarily watching it because I care about the characters. I'm just watching it because I want to see who survives.
Getting guilty pleasure watching people die.
Exactly. Like I have a sixth sense of humor and I find some comedy in this film. Like it's not necessarily something that I'm on the floor laughing, but I'm just watching it for the spectacle. Like this is what the definition of what a popcorn movie is to me. Like it's not necessarily something that's so deep that I'm I'm enthralled in the story, but it's something that I'm just watching just for just the
One
yeah.
100%. I agree. I completely agree that it's a popcorn movie and it's not meant to be that deep. And of course, maybe I'm putting too many expectations into it, going into it, looking at it a bit more deeper. But even if it is a popcorn movie, right? Like, let's just take that example that it's a popcorn movie that you can put on a midday week and just like watch it and, not think too much about it, just enjoy the thrills of it. But even then, you look at these characters, right? Like, I look at all these characters and I know they're all going to die. There was no surprise for me. It's surprising that they die at the moments they die.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll give it that. But I'm looking at all the bad characters who are like cartoony villains. And they go from like civilized workplace, like employee colleagues, to just like
Mhm.
fucking mutiny against
Right.
whoever questions their authority. I think there's a camp with the Barry guy, and he has his cronies around him.
Yep, he got the
But
Brit.
I'm looking,
You got a
yeah, you
family,
got,
right?
yeah. Well, I want to talk about that, how he decides to choose who lives and who dies. But I'm looking at
Mhm.
all those characters, and I'm thinking, well, I know you're gonna die. There's just no. It's
Right.
kind of predictable though for me. Like I felt like even if it was a popcorn movie, I would have appreciated some twists.
Okay. That's fair.
But I did like that they didn't chicken out of killing Adria Arjona's character. I thought that
Right.
would have
That
they
he
would have.
got out with the girl.
Yeah. I thought, oh shit, like, they might like.
Or they'll put
I,
in a standoff where they have to kill each other. It's her or it's me.
or her not deciding to kill because she's too like morally on the right.
Right.
And I'm like, there's no way. I mean, once you're that unhinged in that situation, you're not
Right.
gonna, like, the fact that it literally took the, what's his name, John McGinley Vendel,
Yep.
the
Yep.
bad guy. It really took, because he's being a bit of a creep to her before the movie begins, or before the story kicks in. But he's just a kind of a creepy character throughout. It literally took her, like, the worst character for her to like actually. want to kill someone. Like she's not gonna. She spread the British guy,
Mm.
even though he was like
About to kill her.
about to kill her. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because they
So
had guns and she did
they
not.
did. They did. I think she had a knife or a
Oh,
katana.
it was a piece
Yes.
of a like a shredder. She broke the metal part off of a like a paper shredder,
Right.
like a hand one, and then
Mm-hmm.
using it like a machete.
Hmm.
Which those things are sharp, and yeah, that makes sense. You can cut your hand off with those.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, the bit that the bit that got a real laugh out of me was that guy who's literally throwing mollies everywhere. He was like, "Where the fuck did he get beers out of nowhere at the workplace?" And he's lighting them on fire. And he's like throwing them around, Molotov cocktails. And I thought that was a bit funny. But was there any death that was memorable or funny or just shocking for you that stood out?
The Lonnie
Your
one.
favorite death. Your favorite.
My favorite death. Oh God, my favorite death. It's a good question. I didn't study up on the deaths to decide my favorite death. I think in that the scene that we haven't talked about yet, the where the COO decides who lives and who dies. So he rounds everyone up and he decides, okay, so we're gonna make this fair. We're gonna find out who has kids. Who has kids, you stand over there. Okay. Who's over 60? Okay. You stand over there. And then he's like, he doesn't like the main character because, you know, he tried to stop him from getting the gun. So he's like, okay, you're going over there. And then he's just like, they have to execute 30 people.
How he doesn't shoot the main character already is
Yeah, there's
a
a bunch of
mystery.
times where he should have probably just killed
Is
him.
a mystery I'll probably never be able to
Right.
solve.
It's probably for plot convenience.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. I mean, there's no reason for that guy to survive. I mean, let's look at how like I just want to point this out right here, right? Main as far as main characters are concerned, we all know the theory plot armor exists, right?
Yep.
I mean, it starts off with him trying to cut his own back of his own skull, pierce
Yep.
through and
With
remove
a
the microchip
box cutter.
with a box cutter. And bear in mind, right? There's no fucking way. I'm sorry, but there's no fucking way you can do that and not fucking pass out without
Right.
anesthesia, right?
Right.
You can't just fucking cut a piece of your brain out and try to put your finger in and remove a microchip
Yeah.
that's inserted there, which is kind of crazy that it is there in the first place of all locations. Like you can't just do that and like be conscious. That's one.
Right.
The second one, the second one was just funny. Was I think they try to come up with plans of like, oh, we can like go to the roof and hang these
And
banners and get people. It makes no
get
sense because they're in the
they
middle of
get
nowhere. But
yeah, they're getting shot at while they do it too.
they're getting shot at while they're doing it, right? By these military guys who are outside or
Yep.
are hired to make sure nobody gets out, and somehow like survives unscathed. The
Well,
other
not
guy gets hit.
unscathed. Yeah, he gets hit. Yeah.
The other guy gets hit. The character who's gonna die gets hit in the
Yep.
arm.
He gets in
But
the hand.
the main character, Mike, he just gets out unscathed. And then there's like this scene where they're rounding up who's gonna die, who's not gonna die, because I think 30 people need to die in the next
Or
20 hours.
60 die, not 20 hours. It was 2 hours.
Sorry,
Uh,
2 hours. Yeah.
yeah, or
And
60 people die, and they get to 29, and they just start killing people.
yeah, and they know. Look, there's a scene where these guys have beef with Mike because
Yep, because
you
he
know
wanted to
he
keep
shoots
him
I think they were trying to break through
the gun
the
cage.
vault
Yep.
with the guns, and he shoots the tank where they were using a flame spray to like
Yeah,
cut through.
yeah, they were using the gas that you burn shit with.
Yeah,
It's like an
yeah,
oxygen tank. Yeah.
yeah, and he decides to like he decides to shoot it
Yep.
and stop them, and they just like look at him like,
You
and I'm
shouldn't have
just
done
thinking,
that.
yeah, they look at him like, oh, you shouldn't. Like even his girlfriend's like, you don't antagonize these kind of people. But I'm just thinking, like, how is he not dead? How is this
Right.
guy not dead
Well,
yet?
a better question is, how did he not hit the tank and they all died?
That's even another better question.
Yep.
Wow, now that you bring that up, that just yeah.
Not to poke holes in a movie I genuinely enjoy,
But
but
that is no. But that is like that's like literally smoking at a petrol pump. You
right,
know, like how do you get away with that shit? Like,
plot
but
armor.
in this case, he literally shoots the fume.
Yep.
The Yeah, I don't get it. How it didn't.
Yeah, an
How the
oxygen
whole
tank
place
that could just
didn't
explode.
blow
He's
up.
he's such a good shot. He hits the hose. He's John Wick.
He is John Wick because if
Yeah.
you look at the ending sequence where he just like John Rambo's the shit out of
Yep.
everyone.
Yep.
That got me. That was okay. So that was officially the part of the movie where like
That's the plot twist.
I couldn't, I couldn't like hold back anymore. It
Yeah.
got really funny at that point where it just felt like I was watching a sketch at that point. Where he just
Right.
like he just steals this guy's assault rifle and he just kills everyone. Like this
Well, he
guy who's
uses
never held a gun.
they dig the bombs out of the people's skulls and the
Yeah,
ones that got shot, and then he's just like doing a magician trick and hiding it in their pocket. And then
yeah,
he gets a chance to dive on the dashboard and hit all the bombs and start blowing them up.
yeah. He does, and while he does, I think he like steals one of the ARs from the bad
Yeah.
guys, and
Yep. Starts blowing them
um,
all up.
and even the bad guy, right? Like I was just thinking, okay, at least we're gonna get something about this Belko
Right.
thing. Like, what's the whole like who's behind it? Like, that's the mystery, right? Like, that's what we want to know. And of course, movie does the most classic thing it can do: get a bad guy with a
Yeah.
face to play
Yeah. So he looks
kind
like
of
a
a
Nazi.
cheesy Bond villain, if you have it.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of funny. And the only thing they say is, "Oh yeah, it's like an experiment. We want to see like the emotions you feel and
Yeah. He
study
even
the
like
human mind."
he questions him after it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how fucked up are you right now?
So fucked up, you're gonna take the AR and put a fucking
Right.
bullet in your head.
All right.
And that's what happens. It's
Yeah,
gonna
that
be
that
really,
ending kind of
really.
reminds me of there's that horror comedy film that Joss Whedon made, Cabin in the Woods. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
You
I've
haven't
heard
ever seen
about it.
that? Okay, maybe I'll make you watch it someday. But
Yeah,
that's another like goofy movie, I guess.
yeah, yeah. But I don't know. I don't think I have a feeling they didn't intend for that scene to
No, they
play out
definitely
in a
didn't.
goofy way. Like
Yeah,
I
they
think
didn't.
they
No,
really meant they
no,
really
they
wanted
meant
it to have this,
serious. Yeah,
but it does play out in a rather like comedic way. I mean,
they
I
were
think
short
I
of
think
slipping on blood to get your full belly laugh.
I don't know. I was looking at the scene and I was thinking, well, okay, how much of this is salvageable
Mm,
with the director's point of view, right? Because there's one thing a lot of people don't have. A lot of directors don't really have a say. Not everyone's not everyone's an author, right? Not everyone
right.
has the I can write and direct my own thing
Mm,
privilege. Like, so most of these Hollywood directors have to work with the material they get in hand. But this is where I would argue this is where direction is really tested, because can you make the most out of what you get on hand with the script you're delivered and make it better than it is? Like, can you push the ceiling of the quality you have to work with? And I think you have you have the actors, you have the budget, but I just think the direction doesn't really translate for me. I think I think there's something about the way the film is directed, and I'm not talking about the aesthetic shots or anything. I'm just saying in terms of like translating script to screen. There's something about it that's very off. And I was looking at this director, Greg McLean, and she's not really directed anything in the last decade
That
or so.
probably explains a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it a
Which
director for
probably,
hire?
yeah.
This
I
the
mean, you can look
studio
it up.
probably just put anybody in because Gunn wasn't able to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're originally
I'm
supposed to
assuming.
direct it in another city entirely. It was supposed to be in Brazil and Sao Paulo.
Okay. Wonder why.
Right. That's a good question. Maybe it was Gunn's like original idea.
But it was, when you say studio, it was literally produced by James Gunn and Peter Safran, who are now the heads of DC. So it was their own studio. Like it was their
Okay.
own production.
It was their own.
Yeah. But it was just distributed by Blumhouse
Okay.
till, but when it comes to the production, it was like James Gunn and Peter Safran who produced it themselves. So there wasn't like a
There wasn't
studio calling
anybody.
the shots. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't like the situation with the Justice League or whatever, where they hired whoever they hired and interfered with the.
They just
So
found a
again,
guy. It was intentional.
no, I'm just wondering like what the behind the scenes might have been because it does say a
Right.
lot. There was one shot though I want to say that I instantly looked at and I was like, yeah, that's definitely not real. And it was an exterior shot of the building, but it looked like miniatures.
Okay.
But I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was cool because it plays into the whole practical effects
Okay.
and the special effects part of it with the I did like the fact that it wasn't CGI though.
Right.
The
Yeah. No, that would age this horribly. It's like
Yeah, I
almost
mean,
is 9 years ago.
yeah, yeah, CGI back then, I don't know.
It would look like Scooby Doo.
Think it's probably a lot easier now to just do it CGI, but
Well, yeah, you just have ChatGPT do
ChatGPT to do it, right?
it. We're living in a sick, sad world, Adi.
Oh man, I mean, I'm just saying, man. I've seen some clips from people using Sora. It's disturbing. It's
Yep,
really disturbing.
we're doomed.
I don't know. I don't know what the. I mean, that's why, like, I don't want to be too harsh on even the bad movies because at least they're still trying to be movies.
Right, they have ideas. Um,
They're trying. It may not
mhm,
be like you can't always have gold standard films being
correct.
made every day. I mean, there's got to be, someone's got to fill
The
the top
okay
10,
films, yeah,
the top 10 charts of the week. Not every
right.
week can have the best gold standard movie out for the audiences to see. And I think that's part of the joy of discovering hidden gems is you find it when you least expect it. So I always appreciate that in movies that are kind of like you can just tell money laundering. But yeah, any did you
Speaking of
have any
speaking of
any
money
thoughts?
laundering, what would you like in a sequel if they ever made one? Obviously, you want James Gunn to write it and direct it.
Well, looking at it, I mean, the way it ends, the guy gets out, and then there's this like zoom out shot of like a bunch of screens with a bunch of contenders in like I'm guessing different workplaces with who've
Yeah, and it
survived. And
says phase one complete.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, they're just like making the Hunger Games.
Right.
So I don't know. I think I mean it's pretty obvious what they were trying to do.
All right. All right. I got this. All right. So higher stakes. maybe in a building in maybe busy New York, or maybe make it with a cast with a language barrier. Maybe, get like, for instance, like Japanese, like half the cast only speaks Japanese and the other half only speaks English. That could be interesting.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of it being set somewhere like New York, where you
Yeah, really
expect the
populated.
last
Yeah.
place, the last place you'd expect something like this. So
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think it'd be
I
interesting.
think that would, I think that the
You know,
absurdity of that I think
maybe
that
when
works in its favor. The fact that it's
maybe
more
when
absurd.
James Gunn's tired of DC and making, mid pretty decent superhero movies, maybe when he's done with all that, he can all come back to what he actually wants to make.
No, it's a good question. I do wonder if we'll ever get to see that because now he's in a different direction.
Right.
He's not just directing anymore. He's like he's kind
Producing,
of like
and he's got a
the
whole
head.
thing going on.
He's the studio head now. So yeah, it makes me wonder because I know the guy gives a shit.
Right.
Like he does care. End of the day, I
You
don't
can
think
definitely
he's
tell.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he'll. I mean, the fact that he did Peacemaker shows that he still cares. Like he could have just stepped back and not really be involved, but he still chose to. So I don't know. Maybe I think I'd like to see him like get out of the whole superhero pool and do something different. I think it will be interesting because I think now we've kind of come to you sort of like you sort of know what to expect when you
Right.
walk into one of
The
his
sup-
movies.
yeah.
You know you're gonna get a good soundtrack, which
Right.
is like not it's like well thought out, and it's like you look at the Guardians films and how that blew up, and everyone wanted to copy that business model, right? Put in like
Uh,
all
to
these
our dismay.
to our dismay, yeah. Put all
Yeah.
the play on the nostalgia, play all these, but you've seen that he really cares about
Hmm.
the music in his movies. He really cares about all these offbeat characters that you know are terrible, but you end up loving them.
Like the
He
weasel.
cares the weasel, like the rocket raccoon, or like
Raccoon. Yeah.
Peacemaker, for example, who's kind
Right.
of a villain, but
Yeah. He's an anti-hero.
kinda he's an anti-hero really, and then they make him they humanize his character just a bit to
Right.
understand his flaws. So I do think like and also his I think I like his sense of humor. His
Yeah.
comedy, like I enjoy. I really enjoy his comedy.
I agree.
And I think he still can like do unconventional shit. Like maybe we'll get to see some. I mean, it's
Probably.
unfortunate like this movie that he didn't get to direct it because I do think it would have been a completely different
Film.
experience.
Okay.
Yeah, but shit happens.
All right. You ready to go into final thoughts?
Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. The Belko experiment is it doesn't really do anything different with its concept. It's got a good cast. That's it's got a good budget, but I think the movie really doesn't translate on direction from script to screen. But there are some funny moments. I wouldn't say humor is the strongest suit, but like it's still a good popcorn movie to watch. I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay. All right. The Belko experiment. I think it's a pretty decent watch. It's got great pacing and a lot of action. This is a perfect movie to watch if you're looking for, a fast paced, like popcorn flick. Doesn't break its neck trying to tell a story because there's not a lot of story to tell. Great directing. Lol. I can't believe I wrote that after hearing you shit all over it. I liked some of the directing.
No,
I
no, no.
liked
The
some of the
shots are nice.
shots. Yeah, yeah.
Some of the
That I think
shots are
that's
nice.
probably what
Yeah.
I meant.
But that comes down to
This
the cinematographer too. Don't
exactly,
forget.
exactly. Like I liked a lot of that. I liked a lot of the cinematography. I liked the script. Would have been awesome if James Gunn did it. This is a good movie. Even my dad liked it, and he doesn't like a lot of the stuff I show him. I showed him Idiocracy. He hated it.
Don't
I'm
tell
gonna give
me
this
you
one.
showed him panty and stocking. God,
No, I'll
oh,
never
oh.
show him an anime. He won't do that. If I showed him panties talking, his brain might explode. Back to the rating. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'm sure I'll watch this a couple more times. It's pretty interesting what they could do in the future. On that note, do you have anything else to say?
No, I just want to add one final thought and say there is a good film in there. There's a good story in there somewhere with the psychological concept. It's just I wish it could have done what it. I'm sure the intentions were there, but it's just unfortunate that it didn't. But that doesn't take away the entertainment value from it. But yeah, that concludes the review for me.
All right. I'm going to go on vacation in Colombia. See you, Space Cowboy.